Hello there again. It's Mustafa from K&J Realty here in South Jersey. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to buy your first rental property. So basically to do that you would need a couple of things to get ready to prepare for the buying process. So here in New Jersey, I don't know about other states, but here specifically in South Jersey, we do have properties that are around $100,000. So I'm gonna base my numbers off of that, so the math is easy too. Alright, so the first thing you need in order to purchase a rental property is a decent income, which what I would call decent is probably between $30,000 and $40,000. Knowing that the average person in the United States makes $40,000 a year, I think a lot of people make 30, maybe 35,000. So that's the first thing you need is that income. The second thing you need is to not have a lot of debt. So basically, whatever debt you have, like let's say you own a vehicle, you lease a vehicle or finance, you will have to take that number that you pay, the monthly payment, multiply it by 12, and this is your real yearly debt. You subtract that amount from your yearly income. And if you have a credit card debt, it will be the same thing. I will have a video with more details about that. The third thing you need, so the first thing now we said is a decent income. The second thing is to not have a lot of debt, or whatever your debt is, after you subtract it from your income, you're still at the 35 mark, okay, or the 30. Alright, next thing you need is a good credit score. What I mean by good credit score is basically a score that's 680 and above, 680 plus. This is a decent score. If you have 680, you will be able to get it. Maybe if you even have a little less than that, you'll still be able to get the mortgage. But the better the credit, the lower the interest rate. So let's go with 680 plus. Alright, and then the fourth thing you need is a down payment. So your down payment, for most lenders, they're going to require you to have 15 to 20% of the value of the property, of the price. Whatever price you're purchasing the property for, you need 15 to 20% of that. Plus, you will need the closing cost. The closing cost could go for a $100,000 property, could go from $4,000 to $6,000. To keep it easy, I'm going to go with $5,000. So if you have the 20% down, I'm going to go off of 20 because with 20%, it's a better investment. You make more money, cash flow. Alright, so with this amount of money, if you have, let's say the property is $100,000 and you're putting down 20%, that's $20,000, and then you're going to need $5,000 for closing because you're taking out the mortgage. I'll talk more in details about closing costs. Maybe I'll have a lender on the channel in one of the next videos. The next thing you need, which is the fifth one, is what's called the reserve. So each lender is different, but some lenders ask for a certain amount of money to be in the bank that you're not going to spend when you buy the property, but they want to see it in your bank just in case, let's say, your tenant didn't pay the rent, then they know that you are able to cover it for a month or two, or some might go up to 6 months. But each lender is different. So I'm going to go over the first 5 things that I just mentioned, and then I'm going to keep going. So the first thing again is to have a decent income. The second thing is to have low debt or no debt. Well, maybe some debt, but you're still at the decent income with that debt. The third thing is a good credit score. A good credit score, like I mentioned, 680 plus. Then the down payment, which is 15 to 20% of the price of the property. And the fifth one would be the reserve. Now, let's say you have all these 5 things. Now it's time to start looking because you are already ready. You have the reserve money, you have the down payment, which has to be verified, by the way, or seasoned. Verified, which means it's money that's coming from your pay, where you, like, let's say you have a direct deposit or you're depositing checks from work. You cannot be using cash. And seasoned means like the money might not be from your pay stubs, but it has to be in the bank for more than 2 months, and that makes it seasoned so they can verify. Alright, so now that you have all these 5 things, now you are ready to start looking. So the 6th thing you need, or the first thing after being able to qualify, is to get a good realtor. So a realtor is definitely a plus, because that person is the one that would be able to give you good advice on how much this property is, how much it can rent for if it's not already rented, and how good the area is. Which leads me to my 7th point, where as everybody knows, with real estate, it's all about location. As you probably know, everybody says location, location, location. So when you pick a good location, that's when you know that this property is going to increase in value, so you're not only going to be making money off of the rent and paying off the property, but you're increasing the equity in the property and the value. So you definitely need a good realtor who would find you a good deal. 8th thing, you also need a good lender that will give you a good interest rate so you can save on interest and be able to make more money, because the less you pay for the mortgage, the more you make for your pockets. Alright, the 9th thing you need is, like, let's say you found a property with a realtor, and that property, you like it and everything, you need to check that property history if it's rented. So you need to work with the listing agent. Well, your realtor would work with the listing agent and find out how much they're paying. Well, you're gonna get a lease, so you will know that. But what you need to know most is how good they've been, how on time they're paying, and all that stuff, and their rental history and how long they've lived in the property. These things will help you decide if it's a good property or not. And the next thing that I'm going to talk about in regard to buying your first rental property is that you gotta make sure the property is in decent condition, because you don't want to buy something and the next thing you know, things are breaking down and you're spending all the money that you're making, if not more. So you gotta make sure you check it, you inspect the property, and make sure that the property is in decent condition, if not good condition. So with all these things, let's say you found the property, you got the loan, and you are able to buy it, and now you have the property. So this is basically how you find it and buy it. But now I wanted to talk to you about some details on how you actually will be making money buying this type of property, and what kind of income you're going to be getting, and whether or not it's a good idea. So the first thing is that I'm going to talk about a property that's, like I said earlier, $100,000. So if the property is $100,000, and let's say, which I'm giving you these numbers from properties that I've dealt with, like those prices, taxes, and all I've already worked with, and we can find them here in South Jersey. So let's say the property is $100,000, so you're gonna need about $25,000 to purchase it, plus a few thousands for reserve, which you're not gonna spend. Once you have that, you're basically spending $25,000 down. That's all you're coming out from, like what we call out of pocket, right? And then let's say the property's taxes are $3,000 a year. So if the taxes are $3,000 a year, then you have to pay insurance on the property. You will not need to pay mortgage insurance because you already put 20% down, and I'll be talking about that in other videos. But once you put 20% down, you won't need to pay mortgage insurance. So your insurance for a property like that would be about $700 a year. So that would be $60 a month. So taxes, like I said, $3,000 a year, so that's $250 a month. And then insurance is $60 a month, which is $700 a year. And then you would be paying, as a landlord, you're responsible for sewer, and that's about $30 a month, which is another $360 a year. So with that, And with an interest rate that the market interest rate right now, which just so you know, I want to remind you that when you buy a rental property, it will be an investment loan. It's not going to be a mortgage like you're buying for a house you're going to move in. So in that case, the interest is going to be a little bit higher. So with all these numbers that I just mentioned, $100,000 for the price, $3,000 for the taxes, $700 for insurance, and $360 for sewer, your payment will be under $800 a month. So if let's say your payment is $800 per month, this type of property can rent for up to $1,200 a month. So you're automatically making $400 a month every month. So let's say you don't want to do any repairs and you want, you're not handy. I can't even fix anything. Nothing, right? So if you're like me and you can't fix, you're not handy, and you don't want to do any repairs, there is something which a lot of people don't know or might not even think about when they buy a rental property, but it's available, which is the homeowner's warranty or some type of warranty. Those warranties cost $500 to $600 per year. So let's say you bought the $600 one, that's $50 a month. So that when you have that, if anything broke, like fridge, stove, washer, dryer, heater, air conditioner, or water boiler, any of these things, if it broke, they would cover it. But all you have to do is pay a deductible of like $50 or $60. So if you do purchase that warranty, then you are at $350 a month in profit, cash flow. So your cash flow is basically $4,200 a year. And remember, you only put $25,000. So in less than 6 years, you're gonna get your money back. And that would make the return on investment is between 15 and 20% per year. So again, in 6 years, you get your money back and you still own the property. So another thing that we forget about, a lot of people think about it, I'm only making $350, I just put $25,000, it's not a lot of money. But if you think about it, this is only the cash that you're receiving, but you're already making more money. You're making another $800 that's going towards the property. So you're not only making the $350, you're making more, and you're gaining equity in the property. That property price is going up. The value of the property is going up. So if you keep the property for, let's say, the 6 years where you get your money back, or maybe up to 10 years, then if you decide to sell it, you will get a lot more than what you paid for it, because real estate values are constantly increasing. So this is basically how you buy your first property. And last thing I wanted to mention is that once you buy your first property and you have a lease stating how much you're making or how much you're receiving in rent, you will be able to do that same thing again within a month of purchasing the first property, if not less. But the only thing you would need is more reserve, which again, you're not going to spend. That reserve would stay in your bank account, but as long as you have another down payment, you will be able to buy another property. So yeah, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like me or follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you and have a good day.